Hi, this is Ajmal the developer and welcome to CSS 05 on CSS margins. So in this tutorial we're going to go through three different ways of doing CSS margin. And the first way of doing CSS margin is specifying the individual sides as such. For example, we can specify the top margin, bottom margin, margin right or margin left individually. Um, this is one way of doing it, and the next way is actually the shorthand of doing it. So instead of individually specifying all sites, we can jam pack all of these individual sites in one property, and that way we achieve the same result. For example, we would just specify or declare margin, and then we would add all these four values in an order. The order starts from top, bottom, right, left, and that also does the same thing. And the third way of doing CSS margin is actually taking advantage of the auto value. So the way the auto works is that the DOM would adjust um, adjust your element in the center of your page. So that's how it works. It does work in some cases, but it doesn't work in all cases. So it's very important to make note of that. So without further delay, we can actually go ahead and code all these three ways of doing CSS margin. So first thing first, we're gonna code the individual sites first and display that on the browser, and then we will move on to the next one. So we're just gonna do a div element, simple div element. We're gonna give it a border because we need to be able to see the borders of this element, otherwise we won't be able to differentiate. So we're gonna give it 1 pixel thickness, so we want it to be solid and black. That would be the font, pardon me. And margin top would be 100 pixel, and margin bottom would also be 100 pixel. Margin right would be 50 pixel, and margin left, let's give it a 80 pixel. Okay, so as you can see, we have done all the individual sides individually, and let's also give it a background color. So the background color would be, let's give it a light blue. Why don't we save this and run this on Google Chrome? And as you can see, we have a top margin. So this is the margin against CSS margins, the header, which is the parent element. And as you can see, the left is a bit more than the right. Right is 50 pixel and left is 80 pixel. So that's for our first way of doing CSS margins, and let's go and do the next way of doing it. We're actually gonna comment this out and start over. So again, div, and we're gonna give it a border of 1 pixel, solid, black again, and so this is shorthand of doing margins. As opposed to specifying every individual sites, we actually specify margin and then add all the different values in an order. So 100 pixel space 100 pixel, 50 pixels, and finally 80 pixel. So that's that. We're also going to give it a background color, but I want this color to be different because we want to be able to differentiate between two different elements. So let's give it a red color. We're gonna save this and go back to our browser, and pay attention here. The background color should change, but everything else should stay the same. There you go. So now we know that both ways of doing the margin work, we get the same result. Obviously, a shorthand is a better way of coding. So I recommend using shorthand to save you time and save you memory and in your browser. And moving on, we're gonna go to the last way of doing our margin, which is called auto. So I'm gonna demonstrate that. Again, div. Again, we're gonna give it a border of 1 pixel solid black. Solid black. And this is where the magic happens. So we're just gonna declare the margin, and we're just gonna write auto. So that takes care of everything. Auto. And let's give it a background color of maybe yellow. Okay, so we're gonna save this, go back to our browser, and let's refresh. So it apparently it is in the center, but the right and left are way too close. Let's go back to our code and see what we did wrong. Oh yeah, we can actually manipulate the width of this element by using the wet property, and let's give it a 300 pixel. So we want the width of the element to be 300 pixel, not that big. So save and go back to browser, and let's refresh. There you go. So it's quite small. It's all the way in the middle. It doesn't have to be this small, but you can give it any width. It would be in the center because we are giving it the value of auto. So that's that for all three different ways of doing CSS margins. I hope you learned something today, and I will see you in CSS tutorial number 6. Thank you and have a great day.